People first culture can be defined so many ways through so many lenses. For us at TJ and for me, first and foremost, I do not take it for granted that I have an extraordinary tenured leadership team, all the way from the inception of the agency down to my president being 12 years, production director 11 years, our creative director 14 years. We believe that when you have the right people in the right seats that truly align to a North Star of accountability and integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, having a safe place to work where I feel in this industry, specifically in agency life, a lot of people can go to finger pointing or they didn't tell me that or that was that guy's fault. We really practice a win together, lose together composition in our culture.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we're going to talk about people first culture. You may not have heard this a lot, but it is something that is coming up quite often. As you are growing your company and you treat your employees well, they will take care of your customers. I believe this. I've seen it happen. I know it happens within our own company. And so when you think about if you want to improve the customer experience, and it may not seem logical, the first place you want to look at your people. Are they happy? Are they truly engaged? Are they feeling like they are in the right place? Because when you have happy workers, you will create incredible, creative, powerful, valuable projects for your customers. I believe this in my heart. And so today we're going to talk about a people first culture with the founder and CEO of the James Agency. They've been on the Inc. list before. They've got about 45 employees. They're really a well-run company. Veronique James is an absolute force of nature. I don't know her personally, but I did have this interview with her, and I just want to let you know that her sharpness, her ability to really understand what it takes to create a culture that is creative, that is getting results for clients. They use words like transparency and they're values driven. You'll find out all about that in today's episode with V. That's what her nickname is, and she gave me permission to call her that. So I will. Veronique is not the easiest thing for me to say. All that being said, you will love today's episode on people first culture. My name is Gene Hammett. I'm a CEO coach. We do executive coaching, we do manager coaching, and we do leadership development. We're authors and whatnot, but what I really want you to understand is if your company is in growth mode, you want to grow faster than you are today, or maybe you just want to create more freedom, one of the best things you can do is shift your mindset and your thinking about leadership. We've got a lot of free tools that we can give you. One of them is a training on stopping the bottleneck of your company. If you want to check that out, the next time we run it live is at training.coreelevation.com. What you'll find in there is the 5 steps that you need to really understand and to implement inside your company if you want your business to run without you. If you want to sign up for the free workshop that's live, go to training.coreelevation.com. All that being said, today is going to be an incredible time for you to create that people first culture. Here's our interview with Veronique. Veronique, how are you?
Hi, very well. Thank you.
I am glad I got your name right, I think.
Very well done.
It's
Yep,
a
you can call
beautiful
me
name.
V. Thank you.
When we're going to talk about a people first culture, and you're going to get to explain what that is. But before we get there, I'd love for you to tell us about your company, the James Agency.
Yeah, certainly. So we call it TJA. The James Agency is located in Scottsdale, Arizona. We just celebrated 20 years. I founded the company in 2005. We're an integrated full service agency focusing both on B2C and B2B, primarily within the hospitality, destination travel, food and beverage, consumer packaged goods, pretty much really cool clients. We have quite a diversity of roster. We pride ourselves on being a 5-star white glove agency, really rooted in deep strategic thinking, all decisions being founded with insights and data, and building long-term relationships with these extraordinary clients to support them in a year-over-year engagement.
You didn't mention AI, and I'm just kind of curious, how are you guys embracing AI in this new age of technology, but also how is it impacting the agency world?
Yeah, so it's funny because everybody keeps saying the new age of AI. AI has been around for agency life for quite some time. We were approached as a potential threat or opportunity in our industry nearly 2 years ago. So when people say, "How are you using AI?" It's how are we not using AI because it's in every part of our ecosystem, from research, efficiency, all the Adobe tools are now AI focused, image generation, from everything from creating storyboards for clients that used to be hand drawn back in the day to now being able to get to those really conceptual ideas quite quickly. AI is the lifeblood, I guess you could say, of agencies moving forward. People say, like, well, how are you overcoming that? There's nothing to overcome. AI is a tool, just like Google was a tool introduced, many years ago, or Photoshop when everybody thought Photoshop was going to take over graphic designers. It requires somebody to understand how to prompt engineer AI to make it work efficiently and accurately. It's kind of an old question that continues to come up for our industry, but really it's the backbone of a lot of what we do.
I'm glad you made that distinction there because I think it is important to know that AI is going to impact everything, and you guys are
Mhm.
embracing that, and it will. I think it'll allow you to better serve your clients and do it at the speed of light. What things that used to take weeks or months can now be done very quickly. So, V, which is I can call you V, right? That's kind of what I can
Absolutely.
call you.
You bet.
I am so excited to talk to you about this. This topic is very near to my heart, the people first culture.
Mhm.
Before we go any further, what is a people first culture to you?
Yeah, people first culture can be defined so many ways through so many lenses. For us at TJ and for me, first and foremost, I do not take it for granted that I have an extraordinary tenured leadership team, all the way from the inception of the agency down to my president being 12 years, production director 11 years, our creative director 14 years. We believe that when you have the right people in the right seats that truly align to a North Star of accountability and integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, having a safe place to work where I feel in this industry, specifically in agency life, a lot of people can go to finger pointing or they didn't tell me that or that was that guy's fault. We really practice a win together, lose together composition in our culture. I've got a lot of, professional references and books that I could spout off here, but the reality is it's the who, not how. Getting the right people to paddle in the same direction to ensure that we're all facing the same North Star really allows for a frictionless engagement within a culture like ours that's pretty fast and ever changing.
I think that when people really think about their businesses, they realize how important the people are. You wouldn't be where you are just by yourself. You wouldn't be able to handle the kinds of clients, the kinds of problems that you solve. You've got to rely on people and putting your employees first. And I don't, you may not exactly mean that. You may mean putting, your clients first and whatnot. But when you really zero in on putting employees, making them feel heard, making it feel safe, you get a very different workforce than you would if they're don't feel first.
Well, if
What
you
would you
think
add
about
to that?
it, the creative space, the advertising industry is a very tender space. You're bringing a lot of creative behaviors and people together who are empathetic, and I call it tender because their job is to interpret business objections or opportunities into visual communications, whether that's through place media or graphic design or web. And so we're already talking about a highly emotionally charged sector. This is not like we're working with robots or we're in the widget industry. And so if you think about it, when you've got a healthy culture where you're training your team to rumble, as Brene Brown calls it, within 24 hours and have, constructive clearings, positive clearings is what we call it in retrospectives, the team is happier, right? So then you have less churn, less employee churn, which is very hard on any company when you've got high turnover, which translates to, low churn, translates to clients feeling like you're invested in their business because they're not having to retrain a new account executive or account manager or whomever is assigned to the account. And then also, happy culture translates to quality of work. right? So when there's that no man left behind mentality, we're in the trenches together, the actual execution of the deliverables is elevated, and then the client's happy. So you think about this really positive domino effect. And if you don't place the importance on high performers that align with your cultural beliefs and mission and vision statement, that could impact so many more in a halo effect negatively to sales, to client retention, to revenue.
V just said happy culture equals quality of work. Now, hopefully you took that out. I want to put a spotlight on that for a second because if you want the performance of your team to be better, if you want the service to your customers to be better, you've got to look at your people. Are they happy? Are they engaged? Are they feeling heard? Are they feeling supported? Are you coaching them? Are you creating a work environment where they feel safe? There's a lot of elements to this thing. We can go into trust, we can go into everything else, but are they happy? If they're happy, they're willing to endure a lot more. They're willing to be loyal. They're willing to be more creative. They're willing to take ownership of problems. I've seen this with our clients. I've seen it within our teams. I share this with you because I really believe that happy customers will create high quality work. Now, let's carry on with the interview with V. It sounds like to me that you have an incredible wealth of knowledge around business in general through reading and probably advisors and whatnot. But you've got visions, you've got values, you've got a mission, you focus on culture.
Mhm.
Did you learn this somewhere, or did this just have to evolve to be the leader that you are today?
Yeah, owning a business for 20 years is kind of like going to the school of hard knocks, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. I am a sole founder, no capital partners. And I joke, I say I went to school for visual communications. I have a BFA in graphic design from the University of Arizona. So I didn't go for my business degree. I don't have a master's. But by going through 20 years, 2 decades of two downturns, right, the great 2008, 2009 crash, 2020, all the ups and downs of growing a business to a multi-million dollar, organization. Nothing surprises me. I'll say that for sure. I've got a pretty significant book of experience shares to fall back on, but I've had the privilege of being a part of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, for coming up on 15 years. EO is the largest member-led organization in the world of entrepreneurs who are founders, co-founders, and majority controlling shareholders, not to be confused with YPO. And I've been in the same forum, which is kind of like a micro board of 10 people since I joined the organization. And I had the privilege of also being on the board for 9 years. And then I actually was the president in 2017-18, where I ran the chapter, the Arizona chapter, and got the opportunity to travel on behalf of Arizona internationally to rub elbows with international business owners. And the beauty of EO is you cannot tell people what to do. It's all by way of experience shares. And if you think about getting so many people in a room who've either been through it before or have had similar adversity or success stories, there's so many amazing, valuable nuggets that come out of that to apply to your personal journey. So that's been a huge influence into my professional development.
Well, I'm very familiar with EO. A lot of our clients have EO as a
Mhm.
part of their growth and structure and their support. I want to zero in on a couple of key things. This employee first culture is probably new to some people. They might have some resistance to it because they will think, oh, well, we're here to make money or we're here to serve our customers. When you think about the employee first culture, well, you've already said it, and I wrote it this down. Happy culture equals a high quality of work.
Mhm.
How is it really playing out for you to have a strong culture as your company has grown?
I said it before and I'll say it again. When you have people who are deeply invested in people, you find that there's a synergy that's unmatched compared to other organizations that treat their employees like a number or don't instill professional development techniques. There's a lot of things there, especially within our space, that's very creative and really requires integrated collaboration. We do not work in a vacuum. So, to round that out, granted, a business can't be a business without sales. That's the reality. You do have to have revenue. You do have to have clients, whatever sector you're in. But to maintain velocity of growth and to maintain sales and retention, you have to have the people, you have to have the infrastructure. And one of the most difficult things as a leader is to translate those expectations as a solopreneur when you're starting up to growing to a larger org chart and ensuring that your leadership shares and upholds the same values values of a people first culture as well. That's actually the hardest part, I think, of maintaining a strong cultural foundation when you're scaling.
One of the things that we've pulled out of it, we haven't talked about it, so I want to go a little bit deeper with this. Being a values-driven company, you can't talk about
Mhm.
culture without really thinking about how you live your values. What is your favorite way to integrate values into the business and culture?
Specifically to TJA, the why that I started the business, I came from the large corporate space, and so did the majority of my leaders and many of my team members. In our industry, there's a continuous contention of the client agency relationship around lack of visibility and transparency. I think, much like a banking relationship or an insurance relationship, agencies are expected to do work, tactics, deliverables, right? The creative output, whatever that is, that's the commodity. The asset is how you bring the client along. And so by eliminating some of these barriers of entry around transparency and ethics and communication, and creating this composition of a client agency relationship that's really rooted in those fundamentals from the jump, from the beginning, eliminates a lot of the stress and friction that typically happens between an agency client throughout the engagement, because that's the stress that actually impedes on culture. When clients are mad or frustrated, or clients saying, where are we at on this? Or how did this cost so much money? Or I have no idea where my investment's going. That's when you start to see that tender environment become contentious. They're pointing fingers at their peers or their leaders. And that's when that can be really quickly dismantled. So we have to look at it as not an equal composition of effort, people first culture, but client first as well, and making sure that during the discovery process, they align with our values of transparency and ethical business matters. And those rumbles, we want to hear from a client when they don't like something. We don't want them to say, I'll know it when I see it, because that's very hard for an agency. So what we've done is built a model fundamentally structured around those value systems, and it allows us as like a decision filter, an impact filter, to hire the right people, bring on the right types of clients, and when there's that perfect synergy, that's when the magic happens.
I want to switch gears on this. You don't have a people first culture without the right leadership.
Mhm.
When you think about your own evolution as a leader, you've got 45 employees, you've made the Inc. list multiple times. What is the biggest, maybe, inflection point of your own leadership growth? Would you mind sharing that with us today?
It's a hard one, and I can give you multiple points throughout my 20-year entrepreneurial journey. I think the adage is, if you want to go far, bring them along. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. And it is hard to find leaders that not only align with your cultural vision and ethos and values, but buy into them. So people can talk the talk, but do they truly walk it? And as I mentioned at the top of the conversation, I have some extraordinary leaders that have been with me for nearly 2 decades. Um, what I learned through my journey is not everybody gets from point A to point Z when it comes to cultural leadership the way that I do. And so starting to feel confidence and comfortability in letting go of a bit of their process to lead people, as long as they're fundamentally adhering to those core values and that value system that we talked about. So the cadence of communication, the way that they're writing growth paths. I mean, there's a lot of tactics. I self-proclaimed like things very specifically done in a very meticulous way. And so where I found a rock in my shoe in my scaling and personal leadership growth path was I wanted everybody to do it exactly like me. And
Mm.
that's just not a reality. But the beautiful thing is that when I did start to trust, and that's what really matters, is trusting your leaders and having those consistent check-ins and make sure that you're on the same page and alignment, that's when we start to see teams really blossom, right? Really beautifully. And then it becomes extremely obvious when somebody is an outlier.
We've been talking about values, being a values driven company. You can't be a values driven company unless you understand the touch points at which values can be used and should be used as you grow your company. I'm not going to go through all of them today because that would really take us a full day to probably unpack all 10 of the top touch points of values. But these are things like putting values worked into your descriptions when you hire people, when your interview process, when you onboard people, that kind of thing. The easiest thing you can do to integrate your values in your business is called a shout out. And it's when you gather in meetings, being able to take a value and take a moment and share a story an example, very specific, of how someone is living their values. And that will show others what you want more of. It will also recognize people that are in the room. Maybe they're not in the room, but it will get back to them and you will have a better culture because you're praising people. A lot of CEOs don't praise people, and this shout out is a simple way to do it. It's free. You don't have to pay, you don't have to make it a big elaborate thing of it. Get in the habit of telling 1 minute stories of how people are operating and behaving that align with your values, and you'll find your culture starts to shift. Now, back to the conversation with V. I love
Um,
that. And it's so honest and vulnerable. I appreciate you sharing this with us today because I think a lot of leaders struggle with, and that's the reason they jump in and they become the bottleneck of the company.
the parachuting in, brutal. Yep.
V, I know that you have a lot of probably wisdom to share around a people first culture. Is there anything we left out of today's conversation that you want to make sure we highlight?
Um, I think that one of the defining moments, for lack of better words, is when when you're in a hard place in business, whether it's implosion or a macroeconomic, huge change, or the pandemic. Being a leader or an entrepreneur, business owner, doesn't have to be super lonely. You don't have to be on your own island.
Yeah.
And there are so many books out there and so many podcasts about open book management and but truly the defining moments for me is when I realized I didn't have to do it all by myself. Right. And being okay to let people in and understand some of the challenges and the emotionally charged moments, and really creating some what I would consider accountability benchmarks for both mental health check-ins, financial check-ins, and being comfortable with sharing the good, bad, and the ugly
Yeah.
with your team and your leadership makes it so much easier. And at the end of the day, you and I and other business owners, we're not robots. We have emotions, we have feelings. And it's important for, I think, our teams to see that we're human and we have feelings and things keep us up at night, right?
I'm getting a feeling like that's a place of closure here because we talked about transparency earlier in this people first culture conversation. And now you're talking about the importance of that as you go. It's sharing that good, bad, and ugly.
Mhm.
What I found in my experience when leaders are willing to do that, the courage to really be transparent, is people will rally for you. They won't jump ship.
Right.
They will come up with new ideas. They will come up with cost cutting. They will come up with maybe new sales, new ways to serve. They will do things better, faster, innovate when you really do share with them. So V, I really appreciate you being here, sharing your
My
wisdom.
pleasure. You bet.
Fantastic conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wow, what a great interview. I love talking with business owners who really care about their people, who are great leaders, who are willing to evolve through all of the changes. And we have that today with Veronique. V, as her friends call her, really powerful interview today. Hopefully you took notes and you have a better understanding of what a people first culture is. If there's anything we can do to help you be a better leader, help you scale your company, you want to check out that free training I mentioned earlier, go to training.coreelevation.com. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.